And the reason I was saying you never know God's all you need, or God's all you have. Now I can't say it.
God's all you need, so
God's all you need. You never know God's all you need, so God's all you have. Is because I really think that Ryan felt that and knew that when he was in that place where he made the choice. Now he actually went to Oak Ridge first, right? And he figured it out in 2 weeks, and he was ready. He had it. He got his little 2 weeks of God, and he said, "Oh, that's all I needed." But he quickly realized that it was a relationship with God that he needed, and not just a 2-week preaching session, right? And so Ryan came here, man, and I can tell you guys, we have so many different kind of men that come through this house, and so many different personalities, and you just never really know how they're going to act or what they're going to do or what they're coming out of. But I can tell you that I was a little bit nervous because of Justin being Ryan's brother. And I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to work. But this is the thing. I knew that it was God because of the way that it happened. Because the way that Ryan got here was because me and Josh don't swap. Like, if somebody comes through this house and they're going over to, if they come to this house and then they leave this house, it's not an option for them to go to Oak Ridge. Okay? So if somebody goes to Oak Ridge and they leave Oak Ridge, it's not an option for them to come here. Well, the day that Ryan had called, or the day I heard Ryan wanted to come, Joshua Harris called me and said, "Hey, Chris, man, I got a favor to ask." And he was like, "I've got this guy, man, he's been to your house, but I know his family really good, man, and he wants to come to my house." And he was like, "Man, would you be upset if we did it just this one time?" And I said, "No," I said, "I won't be upset if you don't be upset that Ryan's coming here." And I mean, it worked out perfect, man. So that was just God right there. Either way it goes, man, I was nervous about it, but Ryan has literally come here and completely humbled himself in every single way that you possibly could. I mean, he didn't act like he needed a special favor. He didn't act like Justin owed him anything. He wasn't mad at nobody, man. He was a complete humble servant, man, and he continues to be. And what's great is he was depressed, he was down, he was out, he was on pills. I'll let him tell you the story. But he doesn't ever have to go back to that now. Amen. Because he has a relationship with God. He's learned how to humble himself. He's learned how to serve the Lord. And I'm really proud of you, Ryan. I'm so thankful that you came here and you went through this, and your brother came here and went through this, and I'm excited to spend the rest of our lives together here and in eternity. So I'm going to pray you up. Father, thank you so much for Ryan, Lord. Thank you for the work that you've done in him. And Father, I just pray that your Holy Spirit would work through him tonight, Lord. And Father, we just give you all the honor, glory, and praise for this testimony tonight, Lord. And I pray that you would take away nervousness or fear or anything, Lord, and just give him the words to speak, Lord. I pray your Holy Spirit would speak through Ryan tonight as he speaks and tells his God story tonight. We thank you for that in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Love you, brother.
How was everyone tonight?
Good.
I wore this shirt for a reason tonight. 6 months ago, I couldn't fit into any of my shirts. And this is one of the shirts that my mom actually bought for me and brought up here. Since then, I've lost 55 pounds. That glory belongs to God, because Lord knows I've tried to lose weight over the last,
Especially with all this food.
Especially with the food that they serve in this house. It's hard to do. But I couldn't have done it without him, so I just wanted to make that clear. I got finished typing this today, so I haven't had a chance to practice it or read it or anything. So I'm going to read most of it, so y'all just bear with me. My name is Ryan Myrick. I was born on January 20th, 1984 to an amazing family. I was born and raised right here in Houston, Texas, on the north side of town in the Spring area. Selfishly, I wish I could say that my mess was a result of a rough childhood, bad parents, or some other circumstance in my life that brought me down that dark road. But today, I can fully admit that my position in life was a direct result of choices only I have made. Like I said previously, my family was great, and the worst thing I can say about my childhood was that I might have been too spoiled. I am the youngest of 4 children. My sister Amy is 14 years my senior. My other sister Ashley is 6 years, and Justin, my brother, is almost 3 years older. With Justin being just 3 years older, he is the one I looked up to, imitated, and constantly followed around everywhere. Come to think of it, I followed him all the way here. Although we did not go to church or although we did not go to church or read the Bible growing up, we were raised to be spiritual. I prayed quite often and I very much believed in the golden rule. As a family, we stayed pretty active. If we were not doing some kind of sporting event, we would probably be at our lake house for the weekend. I loved being outdoors. Our day consisted of fishing, shooting BB guns, or riding trails in our four-wheeler. As a kid, there were times I hated going out there. When our TV had like 3 channels. So as a kid, you don't want to go but looking back, those were some of the best days of my childhood. Growing up, my brother and I's sport at a young age was football. If we were not playing in an organized league, we'd be putting together some kind of pickup game in the neighborhood. This was great for me because I got to play with my friends and his friends that were older than me. So it helped me advance. Plus, he liked to run me over, and I liked to run him over any chance I got. Our family is extremely competitive. We can't even play cards without someone cheating or being accused of cheating. I love it. Academically, I excelled growing up, although as a spoiled brat, I never put any importance on education. I was usually the class clown and would be kicked out of class probably a couple times a week on average. In middle school, it helped that Amy was a teacher at my school. There was many occasions where I was kicked out of my class, went to hers, only to get kicked out of hers as well. Aggravating her was a top priority of mine, and I still get a kick out of it. I'm the baby brother, that's what I was supposed to do. I remember one time in particular, I went over to her class after I got kicked out because she was having a pizza party. And I got pissed off because I love pizza. And there was none left, so I started going, I think I was going crust across the road into a fish tank. And I killed all the fish. That's just one little story that, I was a little hellion. I was a little jerk. My grades never really suffered. In fact, it angered my teachers because I was constantly being disrupted yet still aced all of their tests. I always looked like I wasn't paying attention, but that's just how I operate. Back to this day, I still have trouble concentrating in any environment where someone is teaching or talking to me. If I'm looking at you and not fidgeting, I'm probably not listening or retaining the information you're telling me. It's a form of ADHD, I guess. Now in college, I found myself in trouble. It was my first semester. I wasn't attending all my classes. I had actually never studied before, so I didn't know how. But that's a whole other story. It's actually a life lesson of mine.
Use that microphone, right?
Sorry. As far as drug use in my younger years, I smoked the occasional cigarette that was found as a kid. I remember it being terrible. Towards the end of my 7th grade year, I tried weed for the first time. Throughout the next year, I probably smoked 1 to 2 times a month. The more I did it, the more I liked it. I remember my summer between middle school and high school, I had 2 goals. One was to smoke every day, and one was to eat pizza every day. Other than a few days, I was successful, and I also gained 30 pounds. As a freshman in high school, I was probably smoking 1 to 2 times a week. Having my older brother as a senior in high school that I was at, and he was a partier as well, I started getting involved in parties. Here I was introduced to alcohol. Now all of my older siblings, paved the way. They were all partiers. And with my competitive nature, I had something to prove. The first time I drank 23 shots of vodka. And the second time was 18 pack of Budweiser. Granted, as a freshman, I was 6'2", 260 pounds, so I was a big old boy, but still, that put me on my butt. After solidifying myself as a drinker, I eased up on the overindulging and just had fun going to parties every weekend. My sophomore year, I made the varsity football team. This was a considerable feat considering I was a white guy and it was a predominantly black high school with 5,000 plus kids. That year we went defeated. No, I did not misspeak. We lost every game that year. With this, a new coaching regime came in and really started whipping us into shape. I'm sorry. and I started working out seriously for the first time in my life. My hard work did not go unnoticed, and one of my offensive line coaches pulled me aside, and we had to talk about my future. He said he knew I was partying every week, and that if I wanted to get serious about it and possibly get a full ride somewhere, I would have to give up that lifestyle. At the time, I gave it serious thought, but hadn't fully committed to it yet. The one thing I haven't mentioned yet is how hard-headed I can be. You can ask my mom. Perfect example is this with me being potty trained. When my brother, mind you, he's 3 years older than me, was potty trained and gave up his diapers, I refused to wear them anymore. And that was it. I was potty trained. So back to where I was going. That same week, I went to a party, and one of my friends jokingly made the statement that none of us in our friends could stop drinking. And I, of course, said bull butter. That is not the term I used. It was actually explicit, but I'm not going to say it in here. And an argument ensued. Out of that, I completely stopped drinking and smoking. I still went to every party every weekend for the rest of high school and never drank a drop of alcohol. Anytime cops came to bust the party, they wanted to talk to me because they knew I was sober and would either take care of the noise situation or I'd convince everyone to leave. My junior year, I had a phenomenal year with football. We turned our team around to a 7-5 record. I started getting a lot of attention from colleges. For football, they sent out mailers saying they're interested in you and ask you for you to respond if you have any interest in them. I was getting about 48 of those a day and getting phone calls every week. This did not help my ego. My mind was made up that I deserved to go to schools that was near the top 25 listed football teams in the country. So I ignored everybody else. I had received verbal offers from schools like Air Force, Georgia Tech, and the University of Pennsylvania, which that school's a private school. It's about $36 a semester, so it was a pretty good opportunity for me. Thanks to my SAT scores, I was also getting phone calls from the likes of Harvard and Cornell. Harvard didn't allow me to give out athletic scholarships, but they were able to work their magic, and I was given the opportunity to see my college play for them for about $2,000 a semester, and it's actually a really good deal. Of course, I blew all these teams off. Their football teams just weren't prestigious enough for me. And I don't bring all this up to boast or anything like that. I wanted to explain that I've been blessed from the get-go, and I've all in this case pride got my way, and I just overlooked all the opportunities I had. I have a classic football story. My first game of my senior year, I messed up my knee. I was out 6 games and came back in a different position, and we went on to a 12-2 record that year. At 6'3", I was a big offensive center, which is what I was playing before, but as an offensive tackle, I was not considered that all that big. That coupled with an injury, the attention I was getting was not what I deserved. At least that's what I told myself. After that, I was not able to accept the reality and swallow my pride and continue to play football at a smaller program. I never played football again. This was huge in my world. I completely lost my identity, and for the first time, I felt a void in my heart. My value as a person in life was revolved around me playing football. As I struggled to find out who I was accepted into Texas Tech, the school that I chose because at the time I thought it was the best place for me to walk on to. During this time, I started running and working out almost every day. I would wake up, occasionally go to class, run about 3 miles, work out for a couple hours, and then play basketball for a couple more hours. With all this activity, I quickly went from about 280 pounds to 210 pounds. I'd also started drinking socially again, and I had a great group of friends, great family, and mentally and physically healthy, and for the first time in my life wasn't centered around football. After my first semester, which I bombed, I was introduced to Adderall, which became my new best friend. I didn't have to go to class. I could pull an all-nighter before my test and pass with A's and B's. My summer after freshman year, I came back to Houston for the summer to get a job. That's where I met my first wife, Becky. She was my manager at a restaurant that I worked at. We started hanging out and quickly started dating. This was my first real relationship, and I was head over heels in love. I lived to make that woman happy. Unfortunately, she lived to make herself happy as well. The first year was a long distance relationship with me being away at college. I quickly looked for any reason to move back home to be with her. When tuition went up quite a bit at Tech, I seized the opportunity to move back where we got an apartment together. Becky was a great manipulator. Her go-to tactic was that when we got to an argument or a disagreement, she would go out partying with her friends. Now, the majority of her friends were guys she worked with. Excuse me, I'm still getting over an illness. When she would go out, she would not let me know where she was, who she was with, and would not answer the phone when I called her. Eventually, she'd show up around 2 or 3 in the morning, so drunk she could barely walk. I would worry so much and have so much anxiety that I eventually became on anything she wanted me to change about myself. The first things to go was working out and talking or hanging out with friends. Some of you might be thinking like someone would do such a thing, and to be honest, I still learn myself. Like I said, this was my first relationship and I was deeply in love with this girl. During our first couple of months living together, she informed me that the majority of our first year of our relationship, she was actually cheating on me with somebody. Of course, it was over and it would never happen again, and she loved me and yada, yada, yada. And I wanted more than anything to believe her and was willing to forgive her for her mistakes. Another thing that I allowed her to do was she pressured me into getting a job while I was still going to school. That job quickly turned into a 40-hour-a-week job because she liked to spend money. With the hours I was pulling, I started taking Adderall on a daily basis to keep up. No matter what I did, I just could not make her happy. Over the 3.5 years that we dated, she admittedly cheated on me 3 times. Every time I would be told after the fact, and she would act heartbroken and convince me that it would never happen again. And of course, I wanted to believe her. I thought that marriage might change things. I didn't tell you I was smart. However, that was not the case. On our 1-month wedding anniversary, we got into an argument, which is the same old pattern, and she took off. She left at 7, and I was worried all night till 3 a.m. On this night, I found out where she was charging our card and decided to go up there. The bar was closed down, but noticed her co-worker's car in the parking lot. I waited for 15 minutes, and sure enough, she pulls up, and I spent the next several minutes in the car. When I walked up on the car, I got to see my wife cheating on me. This was devastating to me. Stupidly, I stayed with her and we tried to make it work in counseling. This time she put in some good effort, but eventually history repeated itself and she left me for someone else. For the longest time, I could not fathom how she could leave me. I was not perfect, but I treated her exactly how a husband should have and put up with way more than I should have. Up until I came to Innerfaith, this relationship had drastically changed how I both view and treat women. I had put up a wall around my heart and it worked. But doing this keeps out the bad, but it also keeps out the good.
You're good.
Towards the end of our relationship, I had graduated from U of H and got a good job in oil and gas. When our relationship ended, I decided to become a workaholic. And I was very good at what I did. During this time, I was taking Adderall and having trouble sleeping at night, so I turned to alcohol. I was drinking about a handle of whiskey every 2 days. That's the big gallon jugs. To help me escape both from the high of Adderall and dealing with the depression of losing my wife. After 2 years of this lifestyle, I decided that I needed to stop taking Adderall. So I did, but I continued having difficulty time sleeping. My mind would race with all kinds of thoughts as well as reliving the bad times of my relationship. Now I know that is because I never truly dealt with the pain. My doctor decided to prescribe me Ambien, and I met my next best friend. The sleep I would get on this pill was amazing. I never felt so refreshed in the morning. I was taking the medication as prescribed, and my career was really taking off. I was getting promotions left and right. At work, people called me the VP of morale. I was always doing fun stuff. Putting together group lunches, organizing happy hours, team building, all that good stuff. I was very active outside of work. I was playing golf a lot, hunting trips when time permitted. After about 2 years of this, I met Chelsea. We started dating, and at first everything was great. After a few weeks, we pretty much moved in together, and that is when the Ambien started taking a deeper grip on me. I started to live to take this pill. It was an absolute necessity for me. I even started to take this when I could during the day. After years of not dealing, thank you very much. After years of not dealing with this, not dealing with feelings like I had become an emotional, After years of not dealing with feelings, I felt like I had become emotionally unavailable, which was not fair to her. I started not to care about anything. I didn't want to experience anything fun in life. Hunting and golfing quickly faded away. There was a lot of justified anger and bitterness on her part, and I did what I thought would change things and make her happy. I proposed. Again, I'm not smart. Things did get better, but after a few weeks, she rightfully called it off. I was kind of indifferent about the whole situation, and thanks to my magic pill, I could sleep just fine and not deal with the reality of the situation. I started to develop a tolerance to medication, and there were times that the thoughts in my head would override the urge to sleep. So I added a script for Xanax to the mix. This was the final kicker for me. Mixing these two medications made me into what I call an emotional zombie. My industry started having some rough times, and over the course of a few years, I started jumping from company to company. My downward spiral continued, and eventually I was taking pills all weekend when I couldn't. I was still great at what I did at work, but a real jerk to be around. Eventually I got laid off, and I had started my journey to rock bottom. At this time, I was taking 3 months worth of pills each month. The first 2 months, I literally woke up, popped the pill, ate breakfast, and went back to sleep. Woke up for dinner, popped the pill, and went back to bed. This lifestyle had me gained 50 pounds in 2 months. This was around Christmas time this past year, and on Christmas morning, I faked being sick and decided to sleep instead of spending time with my family. I knew that I had to do something. I called my brother and my mom, who talked me into going out to Oak Ridge. I had the plan of going for a few months and getting my stuff together and then leaving. And after 2 weeks, I convinced myself, like Chris said, I had this, and left. It took me 10 days to figure out I didn't have this, and I was right back to where I was. In 5 weeks, I took 5 months worth of prescriptions, and I had reached a place in my life that I did not know how to get out of. I cried and prayed to God several times, several nights in a row, finally, truly reaching out for help. And He provided, like He does when we need it the most. Someone, I don't know who, once told me that He may not come when you want Him, but He'll be there right on time.
Yeah, for sure.
For the longest time, I've been trying to find myself in order to fill the void in my heart. I've tried to fill it with money, women, drugs, sports, and material possessions. But that changed when I found Jesus.
Amen.
Thank you, guys.
I now have peace when I lay my head down at
Amen.
night,
Yeah.
and that is priceless to me. Thank you.